Welcome to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shanna Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your real estate transactions. We did a big show back at the beginning of October on the TILA-RESPA changes that have come into our industry. They were as a result of the Dodd-Frank acts, and the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is regulating these changes, and it's not just a change for real estate, it's a change for title and for all the different industries that associate with real estate, including builders are even affected by this because of their relationships with title companies and lenders. So it's really affected everybody. So we did this big show to tell you about the changes that were coming. They went into effect on October the 3rd. And I wanted to do a show today to talk about how those changes have affected the industry. Now that we're in the winter, I want to talk about, now that we've seen these changes, how it's working out. So we're going to have North American Title's Christy Santalia talk to you about how it's affected the title industry. We're also going to have Mary Papageorge on. You heard her last weekend as well, talking about VA loans. She's a lender with AmpCap Mortgage, and she's going to be on later in the show as well in after the break, second segment, to talk about what she's seen as far as these changes in the industry. I want to talk this segment about the realtor perspective. Y'all all know that I own a registered real estate advisors, a real estate brokerage, and our agents, I felt like our agents were very prepared coming into these changes. I required that they all have classes and really got prepared for these changes because these were just revolutionary changes for our industry, and we hadn't seen changes like this in probably 25 years. And so I required that they all take classes and really get knowledgeable on all of this. And if you listen to the show, you know I'm really big on education. I've taken over 10 real estate designations. I did the Texas Realtors Leadership Program. And so, I'm real big on education. And so I want my agents to be, well educated as well and stay up to date on what's going on. I think it's important. So this segment, I brought on Dory Gordon. She's joining me today. She's my Vice President of Market Development over at Registered Real Estate Advisors. She does a lot of hands-on work with our agents. Dory has over 20 years in the industry. This is the first independent brokerage that she's worked for. She's grown many real estate firms, including her own, and you've heard her here before on the show. So welcome, Dory.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for having me on today.
So I have, I personally have not seen any problems with our agents at Registered Real Estate Advisors since October 3rd, since the changes
We've
happened.
had lots of in-house training, hands-on, which they also even got MCE credit, mandatory continuing education.
So you haven't seen any issues either?
Nope, they've been compliant from what I've seen.
So what have you seen? What are you experienced with agents? Because I know you recruit a lot of agents and you talk to a lot of agents. So what are you seeing, the difference between the trained agents and the non-trained?
I believe that if they're well-trained, they understand the timelines and the compliance. But if they're not trained, they're missing some of the timelines and cutoffs, and closings can be delayed.
Yeah.
And they can even fall through the cracks or bust out. So that's what I'm seeing.
Well, I talked to Brian Buffini earlier this year. He's the leading real estate coach in the industry. Let's hear what he has to say about this. One of the really interesting things, statistically speaking, is that the National Association of Realtors says that the average real estate agent makes only $35,000 a year. Brian, that's hardly enough to live on these days.
No, that's a hard number to live with, and that's for sales agents affiliated with NAR. The NAR number might be a little bit higher, but that includes brokers. So this is not a business to be average in, that's for sure.
So I wanted to hear from Brian Buffini because, like I said, he's the leading real estate coach in the country. We use some of his programs in the brokerage. And one of my friends over at Wells Fargo was telling me that half the agents that they surveyed haven't even heard of the new TILA-RESPA changes. And that's a little scary. We have like almost 30,000 agents here in the Houston market. And if half of them haven't even heard of the TILA-RESPA changes, that is very scary. I know our association did a lot of work to get them educated. But if you can't make them attend the classes, they're independent contractors. And I know as consumers buying and selling real estate, those agents that don't get educated and don't keep up with the business trends and what's going on in the industry, they're a huge liability for me as the broker. But they're not who consumers want to use in their real estate transaction. So this year, we created another real estate company. It's called RREA Realty. And we created that because we saw this need for it. There are these agents out there who are not well educated. They don't want to keep up with things. They don't even really care about doing transactions. They only do like 1 or 2 transactions a year. And even those are a struggle for them. So what REA Realty is, it's a referral company where these agents can hang their license and do referrals out to good professional agents that are well educated who can make sure it gets closed, and then send a referral fee back to these agents who want to be active in real estate, want to make a commission, but don't necessarily have the skills and the ability to do well in the real estate industry. Brian Buffini says, he's going to talk to you a little bit about these TILA RESPA changes. I want to hear his perspective on it. I just really think that agents, they need to be educated on this stuff. These changes to the closing documents, the closing disclosures are happening across the country. Do you think that that's going to slow down our economy? Do you think these changes are good? What's your take on that?
No, I don't think they're good. I don't think any legislation connected to Dodd-Frank has helped the real estate business. There are reasons why Dodd-Frank is in place that I absolutely understand. It's not going to be our friend, but here's what it does mean. We got to have our ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. We've got to be more prepared than we've been in the past. We can't be sloppy in the last 3-4 days of a transaction, try to figure things out. No, we'll just fix it in escrow. The closing attorney can handle that. Those days are over.
Yeah.
The clock resets. My big concern with it is if we don't have our ducks in a row, and then the clock resets. When the rates change, you're going to have people lose their locks. If the clock resets and the deal gets put back, a first-time buyer might not be able to close, and now they lose their deal, and there can be the chain events. Sometimes they're selling to sell, to buy, to sell, to buy. Yeah. That domino effect can happen. So it's really a call for agents to be as professional as possible. And here's the last thing, Shannon. There's always fires to put out in real estate, and it's not always clean, and it's not always perfect, and that is going to happen. Yeah. And the most professional realtor in the world, with the best service in the world, on occasion, they'll probably have a deal or 2 next year that are affected by this for sure.
That's Brian Buffini talking. He's the national or the leading real estate coach for realtors in the country. And he says, it just doesn't pay to be an average realtor. And you, the consumer, you don't want an average realtor. You want a great realtor, someone who can really take care of you, because that's what we do in real estate. We put out the fires. We're the transaction manager, the coordinator, the one who's a real problem solver throughout the transaction. That's what we do, is make sure you get the house you want, make sure that you get closed. All right, Dory, for you, you've been here in the brokerage this year. Yes. You joined us, and as well as I do, there are almost 30,000 realtors in the Houston area. How are these agents going to decide to keep their license or go to a referral company like REA Realty?
It is a business. They have to evaluate. The average agent pays about $2,000 minimum with their fees to Houston Association of Realtors, Texas Association of Realtors, and National Association of Realtors.
That's a lot of fees.
Multiple listing service, and Supra, which allows them to get in and out of listings, centralized showing systems. And they also have monthly fees that can range from several $100s to thousands of dollars monthly. They need to look at their finances, and it is a business. They need to look at their profit and loss statement, and they are self-employed, and they need to evaluate, is this a business or a hobby for them?
Yeah, that's a big decision. Coming up on the end of the year, it's just imperative that they look at that and figure out, is this a business or a hobby? Definitely. Correct. All right, we're going to have to go to a quick break. We do have a new call-in number for you. We're going to get back to the old call-in number soon, but if you need to call in a question this weekend, here's the number for you. And this number will work indefinitely for you. It's 844-788-9444. A little bit different number than you've used before, but this number will work for you now and in the future as well. And then in a couple weeks, the old number will be working again as well. 844-788-9444. We'll be right back after word from our sponsors.
People often find themselves in need of storage and moving, but don't want the hassle and stress. Sound familiar? Well, at Zippy Shell, we make storage and moving easy. Zippy Shell will deliver a storage container to your home or business. You load it at your leisure, and we'll take it to one of our safe, convenient storage facilities, or ship it to your final destination. We treat your stuff like it's our stuff, because we understand you're not just giving us your belongings, you're giving us your trust. Zippy Shell. Storage and moving that makes life simple.